Welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast, brought to you in proud partnership with J&S Accessories and B-Moto Motorcycle Insurance.
Hello, welcome to Off Track. I'm your host, Dave Neal. I'm absolutely delighted to be in the Dynavolt Triumph truck at Donington Park for the first official R&G BSB test with the good Lord Simon Buckmaster. Simon, welcome to Off Track, mate. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks very much. We came to do this test. It was like, it should have been really good test time. But, you know, you never know with the weather, and it hasn't really worked out for us so far, and it doesn't look like it's going to. But, you know, we're always pleased to be here. The BSB paddock's a good place to be. It was kind and good of Stuart Higgs to invite us, and Ten Carter next door. But, okay, we haven't been able to do the test and we want to, but we're happy to be here.
The good thing is it's not too far from home, is it?
No, it's a couple of hours down the road. A bit different for them, but, yeah, no, it's fine. It just hasn't quite worked out. But, you know, last year we went to Spain and Portugal to test in March thinking we'd get good weather, and we had the same problem then. So it's just pot luck. What can you say?
It's this time of year, isn't it? What can you do? Donington is traditionally pretty poor for the weather, as we found last year. At least it's not snowing.
Yeah, it was 40 degrees when we raced here last year.
It's true. It was a warm old day, wasn't it? Yeah. Warm old day. Tell us about the season so far for Dynavolt Triumph. How's it been?
Well, pretty good. We've done 2 rounds. Nicky Tooley's come back to the team, and we've had a couple of good rounds, really. We've had a podium. We're in contention, so it's been not a bad start for us. We're quite pleased, yeah. And
bringing in Harry Truelove as well as one of the young guns from the British Supersport Championship from last year.
Yeah, that's true. You know, Harry won races in British Supersport, finished 3rd in the championship. You know, we're a British team with a British bike, and I'm a partisan person, and it's nice to have a British rider in the team. You know, we want to watch him grow and improve as the season goes on.
You've had a long career of improving young British riders, haven't you? You've had Sam Lowes in the team. You've had Andy Irwin in the team. You've had a long list.
Can we count Eugene Laverty? He's sort of British, isn't he?
Kind of, isn't he?
Well, he is British.
He is a
Northern
bit
Irish.
He's a bit British. Norge is good. We'll have Norge in there as well. And, of course, Craig Jones.
Yes, that was where we started, yeah.
Where it all started. I mean, just tell me about that time with Craig, because I had an awful lot of time for that lad. And we spoke to Jack Valentine about his time at Triumph, and I like to remind the fans of just how good that lad was and what a great lad he was.
He was. He was. You know, he's having a good year for us. Everything was going well, and racing's racing. You know, he'd had that similar crash out the year before. He just landed wrong. Really, it's just a tragic thing, and such a shame for, obviously, massively for us as a team, but for the whole of British motorcycle sport.
How does a team rebuild from that?
Well, what can you do? We all know it's a dangerous sport. It's so much safer than it used to be, but even so, the risks are still there. And unfortunately, you have to rebuild and move on. You know, we'll always remember Craig and the time we had with him, but what can you say? You just have to go forward, as other teams have had to in the past as well. And we'll hopefully, tragically, may have to do it again in the future.
It's the nature. It says on the ticket, doesn't it? And on all the passes, motorsport's dangerous. It's not easy. But moving forward onto the more positive times, you've taken a step away from Honda over the last couple of seasons onto the Triumph. How did that come about?
Well, Honda then weren't going forward in Supersport racing. To be honest, it was Gregorio Avila. Dorna said to me, "Have you ever considered another manufacturer?" And so I approached Triumph, Steve Sargent. And you sort of send an email and you think, I wonder if he can get a reply. And he replied the next day. And they hadn't really had no plan to do it. And Steve and I just worked through it together. And now, you know, we were successful in the first year to do it. We were successful last year with it. And we were already starting to be successful again this year. And it's brought other people onto Triumphs. And again, now it's a British bike. And I started racing a lot of years ago, of course, myself on a Triumph, so it came full circle for me. For me it was a really satisfying thing to do, and something I'm quite proud of.
You started off with the Triumph when you brought the team back to British Supersport, didn't you, with Brandon Pash and Carl Smith.
Yeah.
And you were challenging at the front almost from the get-go. It was a successful season for the first time changing manufacturers, and you've carried that forward.
Oh yeah, I have to say I've been very proud of my team and what they've done. You know, we were the first team of what you call next generation Supersport bikes, which is us, the MV, the Ducati, and we won in year one with Kyle. So we were the first one to do that. And last year we were the first one in World Championship with a next generation bike to win. And again, for us as a team, something to be proud of, and something for all of Britain to be proud of, because it's a British bike.
Absolutely. There's an awful lot of pride involved in it, and rightly so. How has it been working alongside while he was there. I know he's moved over to the BSB paddock now, but working with Scott Smart on the next gen super sport machines and flying the flag at the front of the pack for it. What was that been like?
Well, to be honest, like, I've known Scott for years. I know his dad. When I was a kid, my dad raced Triumphs, and Paul Smart was racing Triumphs even then. So, like, I've known the whole family for years, and Scott and I get on really well with him. I think he does a fantastic job. I think it's been a really, really, really bad thing for the World Championship now that he's not doing it. And things were allowed in round 1-2 with Ducati and Kawasaki with bikes that hadn't been properly balanced. And you can say the first 4 races were won by illegal bikes in all reality because they've not been balanced. So Scott not being there is a huge minus point. He did a great job, and he's continuing to do a great job, and he's working with Stuart Higgs here. And hopefully we'll be back in the World Championship again. I'm
sure he will be at some point. He's a big talent and an awful lot of knowledge not to be. To share it across the paddocks, because he has got a vision for how the motorcycles and how motorcycle racing should be, to bring everybody as close together and on a level playing field as possible. Would that be fair to say?
It would be fair to say, like myself, he's got a passion for motorcycle racing and a dedication to it. And yeah, like I said, not to repeat myself, but he's done a fantastic job and will continue to do so.
When you look back across your racing career, what are the highlights that stand out for you most?
Over the whole time, as a team, you mean? As this team?
Going back, well, let's do this team first, and then as a racer yourself.
This team, obviously, the success we had with Eugene and Sam and Jules Grisel there with English,
Jules
all those
Grisel,
successes,
of course, yeah.
Like we've been runner up in the championship, been third in the championship multiple times, all that success, and then, like I said, we're going full circle, and now with Triumph and winning again with Triumph, and hoping now like to go forward and change for the world title with Triumph. As all those things, it's very hard to pick out one thing. You can say the first time we won with Triumph. The first time we won with Triumph last year was a huge thing. With the British national anthem, and Triumph had never won a world championship race before, and and with over the whole time with the 675 race, and I think they had 7 podiums, all third places. We had 5 last year in one season, including the first ever win. So I'd say that was if I had to pick one thing, that's a big thing for me and for everybody, for Triumph, for all British people that are passionate about motorcycle racing.
I think it's important that's why I was pleased when I saw that you were here this weekend to get a chance to chat with you about what you're doing in World Supersport as a team, as Dynavolt Triumph, because you get the coverage on Eurosport, but there isn't all the coverage in the press too much, and it's nice to get you here sat down and letting our viewers and listeners know just exactly what's going on with the team.
No, I appreciate that. It's a good opportunity to talk to you. And as you said, like British Eurosport, though, have been very good with us, and the coverage they've done, it's been fantastic for us. And to be fair, in World Championship, their coverage for us was even better than we got out of British Championship.
Which makes it a bit of a difference, that, doesn't it? Because it's you've got to do it for the manufacturer, you've got to do it for the sponsors. It's important in that sense to get that coverage. That's why it was nice that you said yes, that you would sit down with us. I appreciate that.
Wow, no problem.
You're too kind, too kind. So going back to you as Simon Buckmaster, the racer, we can go back, just a few years.
A lot of years. Again, things that then, like I said, I started racing on the Triumph. I won my first race on the Triumph. And then the stuff we did in winning at European Championship level, and my best year in World Championship with Team Katayama. Takezubi Katayama was the first Japanese World Championship I rode for him, managed by Chaz Morton, who I've got such a lot of time for, who's now working with young kids to bring them through in British racing.
He's working with Blue Crew?
I don't know. I know he's doing.
Who he's working with?
I can't even know. I've said that, and I don't know the answer to that question. But I do know. I see Chaz when we were here in 21, and I see the stuff on social media he's doing to bring on young British riders, and that's all that involvement with that. And as a private team with Phase 1, we run at World Championship level in endurance. Again, it's hard to pick things out, but like I've enjoyed my time racing, and it's been a lot of years. So yeah, I'd say you can say from managing a team and successes with a team and a rider, both bring great satisfaction in a different way, but both bring great satisfaction. And I like to think and hope that my years' experience as a rider helped me in the management of the team and working with the people and riders that we've done over the years.
Of all the riders you've worked with within PTR and with Dynavolt Triumph, this is going to put you on the spot a little bit with this one. If you could pick 2 riders for your perfect team, who would they be?
Eugene Laverty and Jules Grisel.
Why?
those riders, now, because of all the electronics we have, young riders and all right, become less and less knowledgeable about exactly how a motorcycle works. And both those riders understood how to get the best out of a bike and an engine, and just stuff that they do, how they move on the bike and how they got the best out of the engine, which people miss these days because of we shift on lights, we've got blippers, we've got and launch controls, and electronics in racing don't make a top rider better. They do make a rider that's not quite so good able to get closer to that rider. That's when you see people say now about how racing's so close. That's why, because the difference electronics make the differences between the best and maybe not quite so good less.
That makes perfect sense. And electronics can make racing safer in a certain way, but they do help. If you look at more purebred racers, the guys that have grown up on not so much two-strokes now, so we're getting at the end of racers that have ever ridden two-strokes. Yeah. But the more naturally gifted riders, when you see how they do it, plus the electronics, so the more gifted riders turn the electronics down.
They do.
To a safety point for the bike.
The riders that achieve the most are the ones that understand the bike. If you understand what you're riding and how to get the best out of it, that's the difference. You can get to a certain point with the aid of electronics and natural talent, but then you have the people that actually make the beat, get right to the top of the people that understand how to get the best out of it, as well as working with the electronics.
Who's the one rider you wish you'd signed but you never got round to signing? That's a question I've never asked before. I've just thought of that one.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it.
Neither was I.
And I'm the host. I could have signed that I never got round to signing.
Write that one down, Jennifer, because I'm going to use that one again.
That's actually quite hard. I'm struggling to come up with it because we've had some great riders. Like I said, Eugene and Jules were those two riders that understood the most, but I did sign them.
Exactly.
And in the case of Jules, re-signed him. And still now, Eugene's like a really good friend of mine. I go and stay with him when I go to Portugal, like even though he hasn't ridden with me since 2010. And I'm trying to think of a rider that I could have signed that didn't. Off the top of my head now, we'll have to come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
When it comes to me, I'll just bring it up again in the conversation.
Which might be in July when we're back here for World
Possibly.
Superbikes.
I'll try and think at the same time as answering your question.
I don't normally throw curveballs in like that, but I just thought of it as we were sat here.
Oh, I have thought of one.
Go on.
But a rider I would have liked to have signed, and I would have liked to see him come out of the British, but that's nothing against British Championship, because the British Championship is a fantastic thing, and it's nice now to see some riders going into World Championship from British Championship, because I think the people here, that gives them something to aspire to. They can do it. And a rider I would have liked to have seen go to World Super Sport and then hopefully on from then sooner than he has is Taron McKenzie.
It's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Not bad, eh?
I like that. It's
no time to think of it.
Sorry for putting you on the spot there, Simon. I think that's a good move for him. I think there was a little bit of I don't know how much you take. Sometimes you take notice of social media, and sometimes it's better to just scroll past it because they all know better than the guys in the team. But I think that's a good move for Taz, because you put him in that paddock, and that's where the opportunities are. If you go in as a wild card, people are like, hello, goodbye. But when you're there every week and you live in it and you're in that paddock for 12 rounds for a season, that's where people take more notice.
Well, obviously, with that team, Midori Oake, I've known her for years. I've got a lot of respect for her. They, in the first 2 rounds, weren't ready. But that will be a good bike, and I think he'll do a really good job. But like I said, if you to name someone I think I'd like to have seen there sooner, and he's been British champion, I know that, and fair play. And obviously, I know his dad. I raced with his dad many, many years ago, because we're both old now. But if he could have got here into World Championship sooner, he had the potential in that to achieve more now, because it's a bit late in his career. But hopefully, we'll
He's
still
only
go.
26.
Yeah, I know, but
in terms of racing,
so let's say
that's older now, isn't it?
Then he's 27, and then if I was him, I'd probably try because there's no point in going Superbike unless you're on the right bike. Because Bradley Ray now is in the team in World Superbike, but Bradley Ray's had a fantastic year last year, but you have to be realistic and look where he's going to finish, and he will struggle getting the top 10.
I think he knows that before he goes there, though, doesn't he? As long as he accepts that.
Now, for Tarrant, he's better staying in Supersport than being not in the right Superbike team to have a chance to challenge to win.
I understand that completely.
As you saw with Keenan Sofoglu in Supersport, he tried, it didn't work for him, and he had a hugely successful career in the World Supersport Championship.
It suits more people that way sometimes, doesn't it? If that's the way it goes. Same with Eugene, he had more success on a Supersport bike than a Superbike.
You said that, and that's wrong, isn't it?
Do you think?
Yeah, because he missed the World Superbike Championship by about a point.
Oh no, he did. I forgot about that. Sorry, Eugene.
So he was very successful for us, and he never won either championship, but he was runner-up in World Superbike as well. And don't forget, he also had quite a successful time in MotoGP.
Oh,
so you can say the
that.
Supersport Championship in that case took him. If it's him, Jonathan Ray, Chaz Davis, people just off the top of my head, and there's more that have come through World Supersport and gone on to very successful careers. I do actually think it's a very good breeding ground to take the next step up. If you take Sam, who rode for us and then won the World Supersport Championship next year with Yakins on Yamaha, he then went into Moto2 in a good team.
It is a proving ground. Cal did the same, didn't he?
Cal, also
as world champion.
and look what
I remember that.
Look what a successful career he had, again through World Supersport. So if you look at that, I think it's a really good breeding ground and for people to have successful. I don't think it gets enough credit for that.
I think the same here as well. I like that as much as I enjoy the National Superstock Championship. The proving ground for me is still the Supersport way, the same as it is at world level, because you look at what Taz has done, you look at what Brad Ray's done, you look at, say, what Eugene and Cal and Johnny Ray was on a Supersport bike.
I forgot Leon Camier and all that.
And Leon Camier as well on the
and
the Jewson bikes. Yeah, Tom Sykes as well on the Taz bike. See, I do remember. I just forgot Eugene. All right, I know he's your best mate, but I can't remember everything. It's during your racing career, what was your favourite corner and why?
Corner?
See, everybody goes for track. That's easy.
Corner. So we'll go back to track.
This is a good Sunday morning for you, isn't it? You've only been here half an hour.
Go back to Aston and the old Aston. Aston now is still a good track, but it's not what it was. It had some really like the...
Yeah, what was that like to ride the big long Aston circuit, the proper
I never
one?
had the longest
No, not
one.
not that
that's
one.
even before my time.
Not that one.
The one where you go really flat out through the...
Yeah.
And then, But that last... Of corners at Aston, if we take that, and I could probably think of more... Phillip Island's got some like the last two turns at Phillip Island, and you've got that really fast right kink at Aston before it leads you through to the last right left into the chicane there. The faster corners like that for me were like, for take two there, the last turn in Australia, and then the really fast right kink in Aston. If to pick two off the top of my head.
Did you ever race Spa?
Yes, that's where we won the World Endurance.
See, I'm not supposed to know things as close as that. I'm reasonably old, but
when we won World Endurance, that was at Spa. And we finished second in the rain there. It rained for 21 hours out of 24 with Steve Hislop on a Howard's Honda at Spa. So, again, I'm going to remove those two corners now and say what my we'll come to now. I would say, as it was then, if I'm now thinking about to pick my favourite corner in motorcycle racing, it'd be Eau Rouge.
Wonderful.
As it was, it's changed a bit now, but it used to have nearly no run off that, and it was absolutely shall we say, very challenging corners, so fast.
Can you remember how you approached it and what you were doing on the bike at the time?
You'd be like on a 500 or endurance bike, the same. You'd be flat in six down into it and just literally take fifth gear and open it again. You only took fifth gear really to help it turn, and because it was steep uphill, so it kept pulling hard. You really just take one gear and just put it back on the throttle, and and as soon as you got to the top, you're back in sixth again. And
this is on a 500
and on the World Endurance bikes.
So no electronics those days.
No.
It just all. It was that.
Yeah. So if I now that would be the corner. Yeah.
How wonderful! And one thing, the question I always finish off with for every podcast, for every guest, and I know you're going to have a story.
Am I?
Yes. And if you say no, I don't believe you. What's your best hire car story, Simon?
Again, you talk. It's been so many years, right? And there's so many things we've done. I suppose every things that we did.
You're playing this coy, I can see.
I'm not playing it coy, but you've got to try and remember unless you can come up with one. I remember we had one in Brazil once. We hit this car park so hard, like it actually bent the rope. Just a dip. And then we got in South Africa, like for doing donuts outside the car park, and the police pull you over. In those days in Australia, I have got one. This is even better.
Is this the Phillip Island Tunnel?
No. This is when the very first time I went to Australia was '86. We went and did the Swan series, and I was like a bit naive then. And Rob Mack had been a few times. We were going around, and we were staying in this hotel in Surfers Paradise. Great place that was. Anyway, and there was a roundabout near this hotel, right? And because you're young, you wouldn't do it now. You think that's so like you just shouldn't behave like this. But when you're younger and stupid, I suppose. But so we used to every day we used to come back from the track, go around this house. We used to and used to have like these V8 Holdens then, yeah. So you used to just like floor it around this roundabout, do 3 or 4 laps of this roundabout, smoke everywhere. Like there was a restaurant on the corner, fill it, won't park up in the car park, right? So by the time the third night comes, we're doing it. What we didn't know was the police station was like about 200 yards down the road off one of these things. So we've been doing this a few days. So the next time we come back, and to be honest, in those days, okay, we drunk too much as well. So like we've ran around the car park, smoke everywhere, nowhere to park, straight up on the grass outside. So as soon as I get there, right behind me, bang. So we go, who's driving? Oh, we don't know. And they're like, oh, don't be smart, mate. Oh dear. Better admit it. So you have to blow into the bag, right? And in those days, it was the crystal things like, and it's burning my fingers, this thing. I've thought of more, but we'll do with this one.
Tell as many as you like. This is my favourite part of the podcast.
So we blow, and it's burning your fingers, and like, so you're absolutely like way over. You've done, and he goes, and in those days, now they lock you up in Australia because we went back this year after COVID. They're so anal now. Oh my God. It used to be the most fun place to go. Now that the fun police have definitely invaded in Australia. So, and the guy goes, should I do my Australian accent or not?
Do it, yeah, please.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I should lock you up for this. He said, but I can't be bothered with the paperwork because it was like, it's time for him to knock off, really. So he goes, oh, you're leaving the state tomorrow. He says, so give me a ticket for driving without due care and attention. That was it.
That was all you got done?
All I got done
Brilliant.
for. And you just rip the ticket up, throw it in the bin because it's before computerised ages and away you go. And there was so many more, but otherwise people will get bored. So
no, they won't.
We'll just do with that one.
People watch for the hire car stories. Give us another one.
Another one. But even that, so that same trip, I thought of another. I'll have to come back to that. But that same trip, so off we go. We're driving from Brisbane down to Sydney, 10 or 12 hour drive, and me and Rob Mack, we're off we go. He runs out of fuel. We're like, oh no problem. So now no worries. So I just bumped onto the back of him, and I'm pushing him down the road like at about 80 mile an hour, right, flat out. Like, and the guy in the cop bike comes the other way, and you can see him in the mirror, like all the blue lights come on. He turns, but just as he did that, we just come to a garage. So we coast into the garage. What can he do?
Nothing. Prove it.
But like again, we got away with. But so many times in Australia in those days, you get stopped doing like 200k, and they were just, oh, I can't be. Yeah, and you just never got done. You just throw the tickets away. Now, if you did that now, you just get locked up straight away.
Yeah, be a night in the cell straight away.
At least, might be more than one.
True.
It's just changed so much over the years. So I've lost the other one now. I can't remember it, so we'll have to move on.
But you know, these are the stories that I enjoy the most. We had 2.5 hours with Jack Valentine last month, and as much as the career stories and the stories of the team are important to get the story of now, because I'm of a generation. I remember the Swan series. Go on, go for it. Take it.
So now we're in the Czech Republic. Then with when we were traveling European Champs together, I used to travel around with Paul Lynn and I. Christian's dad used to travel around together. Like I knew him when he was a baby, literally a baby, right? So we did Brno, and I'd finished on the podium. Like, so anyway, so we goes out again. Like, of course we're drunk, aren't we? Please stop us on the way back. And they're like, and they go and they breathalyze me, and like the English thing there, they didn't speak much. And oh, you drive to a guy called Chef. I can't remember his real name. That's what we used to call him. Was Paul's mechanic. Oh, I can't drive, mate. I'm far too pissed. So they took me away. Now this is still in this day. It was Czechoslovakia then, and it's still behind the Iron Curtain. I get taken away in the police car, right? I'm a little bit bothered now. I've got to be honest, right? So I'll get put in the cell, yeah. And the boy and the people come in, so I'm in the cell, and after a while they come, okay. They go, oh yeah, you oh, all right, oh yeah, oh you finished third, oh, okay. Now instead of getting locked up and that, we get a police escort back to the paddock.
No
problem. Seriously, no problem. But before that, I was thinking like, oh my God, am I ever coming out? Like, but seriously, went from, oh yeah, oh you finished third today. Oh no problem, you can go. Literally, find me some ridiculously small amount of Czech krones that used to get 4 times the rate on the black market in those days, and they gave us a police escort, and I could drive the vehicle back to the paddock with a police escort, no problem.
And that was on the old Brno circuit, I guess.
Yes, the road track. Yeah.
The road track, yeah.
I rode the last time. The last one of those was 86. I did the last race. I only finished second, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? So
it's a podium, bit of champagne. Hopefully a bit of pocket money at the same time when you get pocket money back in those days.
In those days, we used to go around the tracks and do European Championship or Grand Prix and do like international races in between for start money. That's how it used to work. You used to away for like big periods at a time. It was a different time in racing, but I have to say, I enjoyed time. When you look back on your experiences in life, it's all memories to cherish, would you say? I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And that's what I was saying. These are the stories, because I remember the Swan Series. I was only like 13 or 14. I remember Rob Mack going out there, because I'm a Lincolnshire lad. I know, everybody from the county has always been a hero of mine, without a shadow of a doubt. Yourself and Roger Marshall. It's a Lincolnshire thing. That's the beauty of it. But
well, I'm not from Lincolnshire.
No, but you live that way.
I do live there. Yeah.
That's it. I know you're not from there, but you live that way.
I've lived there 23 years now. It's all her fault.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's all. It's not a bad county. It's just miles.
No, it's quite. To be honest, like obviously, I was born in Snowmass in Hertfordshire, and that's where I grew up, and I lived there till 2000 from when I was born. But realistically, now I wouldn't want to go back, because you look at the traffic thing and all this. It's just like I'm happy where I am now. Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
It's all right out there. It keeps you going. Can we do this again at World Supersport?
Yeah, no problem.
When we come back in July?
Yeah, no problem.
Would that be all right?
We can't do the stories again. We'll just have to do the season. It might be a bit shorter, or if you think of some more questions, whatever.
I'll think of some more questions on the spot, mate. And it won't be a Sunday morning when the clocks have gone forward and we're sat like, it's a cold, wet, rainy Donington Park, and I think you're probably almost ready to go home if the track doesn't dry up.
Well, yeah.
You're not going to risk anything, are you?
No, that's pointless.
Assen next time out.
Yes.
We wish you the very best of luck for that and for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll catch up again at Donington in the summer.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon.
Cheers, man.